Hi everyone, Darren Green again from Mila Homes. Hope you're well and enjoying everything we're putting out so far. This next episode is all about how to use your home to buy. So this is something which I've touched upon on some of the social media channels over the last year, and every time I've spoken about it, I've had umpteen people come in and say, could I buy you a coffee and just could you talk me through how that actually works? So if you've subscribed to this, hopefully you'll find the next 10 minutes really useful. Let's get into it. So, how do we release equity from our home? So, in this example, our house is valued at £200,000. We've got a mortgage of £120,000, equity £80,000. So, we own £80,000 of that property, which makes our loan to value 60%, and our mortgage costs, I think on a repayment mortgage, I think I've put as about 5%, 5 or 6%, is £633 per month. So we effectively go to the bank and we ask for essentially it's equity release. But yeah, we're looking to remortgage at the value of the house at the moment, which is £200,000. But instead of 60%, we want to take a little bit. We want to take a little bit out of it. So if we went to an 80% loan to value, we'd release £40,000. Our new mortgage is £160,000, and making our mortgage cost £845. So that's an increase in mortgage costs of £212 per calendar month. So it's something to bear in mind at the moment. You can release the money, that you've got £40,000 in your back pocket, but every month you're now paying £200 more. So I've got a quick example here in terms of what would that £40,000 buy us. So I'm assuming here we're going to do a buy to let buy and hold strategy. We're looking for something between 100 and 160,000, and I've got Glasgow city centre. I'm taking a very crude example here. I'm looking for somewhere that should hold its value relatively well, where there's always going to be demand for property. I'm looking at 2 to 3 beds, any property type. So you can see there, 160,000 is my max, and by digging into whereabout, you can see there's quite a few over in the Gorbals, some up the northwest of Glasgow as well, some at the East End. So it really depends where you want to buy. You know, for anyone that knows Glasgow will know the areas to avoid. But there's a reasonable one for a 2-bed flat in Renfield Street. It is the 6th floor, I think. I think it's a relatively, yeah, flat 6-1. So it's, you know, it looks very well, looks tidy. You're going to move into that property, you're going to buy that property, you don't need to do much to it. Bathroom's nice. Yeah, I mean that's in very good condition. And you know, a university town, several universities in the area and colleges, there's going to be good demand for that type of property as well. So yeah, I mean that, to me, that looks like a reasonable investment. So that's what your £40,000 could buy you. That could buy you something that looks like that. You could put a 25% loan to value mortgage on it, and yeah, sorry, 75% loan to value mortgage. You'd own 25%, which would be the 40,000, and the bank would give you the rest. Now there are some criteria to bear in mind, so you need to make sure what could we rent that for. So we're back on Rightmove. I think I covered this a few episodes ago. We can see how much we expect to get for rent. So we're looking at Glasgow city centre. We're on Rightmove. We're going to search for properties that are only in Glasgow city centre. Price range we're not interested in at the moment, but we do know that we've got a 2-bed flat. So we need to put that into our criteria, and it could be added anytime, but we do want to look at properties that have already let. So we've got 157 results of flats that have sold, that are up for rent or have rented in Glasgow city centre. So plenty of demand. And it's always useful to see what the spread is, because we want to make sure it's as close as comparable to where we are as possible. So there's none on Renfield Street, but you can see there's a couple on Bath Street there. So they're 2-bed apartments, so that fits that criteria. They might be on a lower floor and they might be a better spec as well, so let's just take a look at them. But you can see how easy it is. It's really quick to be able to get into this and start looking at it. So I mean, they look quite high-end apartments. They are 3rd floor as well, so we remember the property I was looking at in the previous page is 6th floor on Renfield Street. So look, it's 1150 there. I think we can be fairly confident that we can get a rent upward of £1,000 anyway, even on the 6th floor. So if we take a look at this, and I appreciate this is a very crude example, there's a whole host of other costs, solicitors' costs, brokers' costs, potentially, getting wrapped up in this. But as a simple example, hopefully you can get the premise of, if you own a property and you haven't released equity from it, I'm not talking about releasing it up to £100,000, 100% loan to value, but hopefully I can show you that by releasing some equity, what's possible. This is what the intention is. So we're going to assume we could buy that property in Renfield Street for 160,000. That's certainly within what the asking price is. Deposit's going to be 40,000 and the mortgage is going to be 120,000. So let's see how that breaks down. So we've got mortgage costs per month of £400, letting costs of 90, maintenance costs of 90, and we've got rent of £900. So that makes £680 a month worth of costs, and meanwhile we're taking a conservative estimate there on £900. So even at a conservative rent, again, it looks like we'd be able to get upwards of 1,000, but let's just say for now we could get £900. That's still £320 worth of positive cash flow every single month. And if you remember back, our increase in our mortgage cost was £212. So overall, we have a positive variance to our mortgage increase from our releasing equity earlier in the process. So hopefully you can see that that's a worthwhile example. That's taken, what are we, not even 10 minutes long in terms of looking at that particular scenario in terms of how we could make that work. And I think the important thing to show is your home is not an asset. This is something that a lot of people buy into, that they own a home's an asset. It's not. All it does is ever take money out of your pocket. So even if you don't have a mortgage on it, you have to pay the maintenance costs. And certainly my feeling, Jill's feeling, is assets, buy-to-let is an asset. A buy-to-let property is an asset when it starts putting money in your pocket. So you can see, even by releasing that equity, your positive cash flow every single month from rather than having the money sitting in your existing mortgage for your residential mortgage. Okay, so hopefully that's got that principle across. Again, this is something which there's a whole lot more to this than just what I've said, but it really can be just as easy as phoning your bank, so digging out your mortgage papers wherever they are, phoning your bank and saying you want to come in for a chat, you'd like to discuss releasing some equity from your home, and you're looking at it for investment purposes, and seeing what they can offer you. Generally, that's the best way to go about it. You can actually also see other lenders as well. So if your own bank, for whatever reason, wouldn't want to do it, if you speak to a mortgage broker, there will be potentially other lenders that may allow you to release funds from a separate mortgage. So they'll be able to give you an additional mortgage effectively on top of the one that you've already got. Generally, that's a bit more expensive because it's the second charge they'd be taking on the property. They're second in line to be paid back if the property was repossessed. So there's a bit more risk. So generally, that's more expensive. So I would always say speak to your bank first, and then go and buy a property, go buy a flat, go buy a house. It's much better buying something. You can see there, over a space of, we've covered earlier in the series, property prices would be expecting to go up every single decade almost. I think 9 years is the average. So in Glasgow city centre, you'd be expecting, you've got capital growth over a period of 25 years for sure. You're going to see capital growth. Now, that's much better in your pocket, and that growth, buying that now and holding that for 25 years, you've got capital growth and you've got a positive cash flow. So I would say, all in all, that's an absolutely fantastic outcome. If you want to run through that in any more detail, I'm more than happy to have a chat, and have done in the past with, as I said, with many people when I've posted something similar on social media. So hopefully that's whet your appetite for being able to do that. And I would definitely say, even if you don't end up following through with it, certainly go and have a look at it. Go and see how much your loan to value is on your own existing mortgage if you're a homeowner, and yeah, good luck with it. In the meantime, contact details are there, and if you want to get in touch, that's fine, and I will see you tomorrow for day 11.